Yeah, I'll let you. One sec. One sec.
You finished? Welcome
Yeah.
to the Maggot Show. Yes, and I've got somebody talking in the background. Okay. Firstly, we'll get this old bat out of the way for a moment. Off with her head. In the Guardian, we've got government accused of abuse of power after cancelling 2011 Queen's Speech. This is sort of continuing on with the last one because I did that right at the end. Change to tie in with introduction of fixed-term parliaments means next Queen's Speech will not take place until the spring of 2012. Owing to unavoidable delays, we have decided to delay your Christmas speech until 3 months' time. So, can you just put the turkey in 3 months later, or something? Labour has accused the coalition government of an abuse of power after it announced the cancellation of next year's Queen's Speech. Dotty old speech anyway. The cancellation comes as part of plans to permanently move the state opening of Parliament from its traditional autumn date to the spring. I don't know if you actually bother watching it. Probably Americans see it less frequently than we do. You can probably YouTube it though. It's sort of like it starts out okay, but it's not much of a show really. It doesn't really compare to the Maggot Show at all. Not favourably. No. It starts out okay, and then she's sort of like vaguely coherent, and then it's like just sort of like going her skin turns green, and her eyes change colour and start flickering, and her tongue starts like flashing all over the camera. This just sort of like descends into drivel. It's just like ugh. It would like show it's like just like general social wishy-washy reformy goody two-shoe things and to do with politicians and just sort of really wishy-washy. Don't really make any sense. The change announced by Sir George Young, the leader of the Commons, to tie in with the introduction of fixed-term parliaments, and also apparently it's the basis of many a good fight over Christmas because they put it on during Sunday, not Sunday. Christmas Day lunch, when everybody's sitting down at a table or whatever, and she'll just waffle on, and there's like nobody really wants to watch it, but there's usually some really staunch royalist who must watch it, and he'll stand up and salute, and nobody sort of like mocks them. Anyhow, it means next Queen's Speech will not take place until the spring of 2012. Yeah, take her that long to digest the Christmas pud, because the coalition introduced an 18-month legislative programme in May. The next speech had been due to take place next autumn. It will now be put back, subject to the fixed-term Parliament's bill being passed. The Speaker, John the Cow, granted the Labour backbencher Dennis McShane an emergency debate on the proposals. The shadow leader of the Commons, Rosie Winterton. I scanned this earlier, and there's the name similarities. I won't go into it. It said, "This executive decision, made using the Queen's prerogative powers, has significant constitutional implications and is abuse of power. They won't even let me talk at Christmas. I only have 1 or 2 gin and tonics. You're not that drunk. I don't remember what I say, but I know it's rather good. Not as good as Maggot, though, obviously. I remember one year I talked about having a badass of a year, and nobody understood the joke at all." Yeah, because I think it was the year that Diana died or something. I happened to see that one, and she said it's an annus horribilis, which means like a bad year in Latin reversed, but anus horribilis, sort of like in Pidgin Latin, means badass. So she said she's basically saying it was a badass. She had a badass year, a really good year. Anyway, both of this announcement probably went over most people's heads, and its content are an affront to Parliament. There was no consultation whatever with the other parties. The Commons was not invited. Yeah, the Commons was not invited to give its views. There is no conceivable justification for this. This is in quotes, but I can't bother doing the verse this second. It has been done solely to ease the passage of controversial legislation. Sort of like stuffing eases the passage of turkey. Anyway, I could have said something more rude. Under the fixed-term Parliament's bill, getting its second reading today, general elections will take place on the first Thursday in May every 5 years, Young said. As a consequence, the government believes that it would be appropriate to move towards 5 12-month sessions over a Parliament, beginning and ending in the spring. This has the advantage of avoiding a final 5th session, beginning in the autumn, of only a few months, which restricts the ability of Parliament to consider a full legislative programme. The Queen's speech, drawn up by ministers, written out by children, verified by old women on like heavy medication, but delivered by the monarch, sets out the government's legislative agenda for the coming period. Yeah, and their videos, I mean, like, the videos are sort of like, oh, your standard YouTube quality. They're okay. Like, full a lot of little montages, just like, you know, people on horses and bits of countryside and that sort of thing to remind you of the country you live in. Doesn't really work as a global speech, but it's sort of like, this is England, we shall have a cup of tea now. The current session of Parliament will run until around Easter 2012, with the next state opening of Parliament taking place shortly afterwards. The government believes the programme it set out in May is enough to take it through to that date, but the Shadow Justice Secretary Jack Straw said Young's announcement proved the government was driven not by any coherent philosophy about constitutional change, but by short-term, narrow party interests. It coincides with the publication of a fixed-term Parliament's bill that has been rushed out without any opportunity for proper scrutiny, Straw said. As a consequence, the bill is deeply flawed and will need substantial revision. It is astonishing that, contrary to all previous commitments, the government has abandoned any semblance of pre-legislative scrutiny on such fundamental constitutional legislation, tearing up election and post-election pledges before the ink on them is dry. Young said the proposed change to spring annual sessions would not result in fewer sitting days. So yeah, I'm sure she's disappointed that her once-a-year TV show is cancelled. Or rather moved to spring. She'd have to plan around it. Another dramatic, exciting story. The Independent. 7 hurt as coffee machine explodes. 7 people suffered minor injuries when a coffee machine exploded at a supermarket today. I mean, possibly that happens all the time, all day, every day in America, because you can't build shit. Your manufacturing quality is appalling, but you know, over here it's a bit more unusual. It's something to actually like, something that causes a bit of surprise. But you know, it's probably the Islamo fascists at the end. They've probably had one hiding in the machine. It says here the blast involved an industrial machine at Sainsbury's in the Kingsmead shopping centre, Farnborough, Hampshire. The casualties, including customers and staff. Now, it's a bit funny when you think like a coffee machine is mainly going to have hot water and coffee powder, and I've seen them open them up, and there's nothing really sinister that goes in them. It's hot water, the coffee powder and the tea powder, and powderized milk or whatever. There's no dynamite. They don't pour TNT into it, liquid TNT, and you know, possibly you get combustion out of the bleach and stuff, the chemicals, the cleaning fluids, but it's quite bizarre. A Hampshire police spokesman said 6 people were taken to Frimley Park Hospital in nearby Surrey after the incident at about 12:20 p.m. The store was ejaculated, yes, and environmental health officials informed, the spokesman added. A Sainsbury's spokesman said a ruptured pipe in the machine caused the explosion and the store was able to reopen. Colleague and customer safety is our main priority, the spokesman said. The store was evacuated and closed while the council's environmental health officers undertook an inspection. The cafe will remain closed until we have completed a full investigation into the cause of this incident. Yeah, boiling water causes a coffee machine to explode, injuring 7 people. It's quite strange. One of those taken to hospital. What are they putting in the water? What are they putting in the coffee? Was a 23-year-old woman with head, arm and eye injuries, South Central Ambulance Service said. Rushmore Borough Council is investigating the incident and not the Health and Safety Executive. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're being so stupid as to start shaking the machine, because it wasn't depositing a drink, and maybe they pressed the button and just overloaded the machine. Even so, that doesn't really explain an explosion that's so powerful. A Hampshire Fire and Rescue Service spokesman said, crews from Rushmore Fire Station attended the incident, where they found no fire. However, a number of people were in need of first aid treatment and coffee. Firefighters assisted with first aid and made the scene safe. Another article. Gang jailed for plot to sell virginity. Oh yeah. 4 members of a prostitution ring who tried to sell the virginity of young women for up to £150,000 were jailed today. The gang plotted to rake in huge sums by setting up a party at which young women could accept offers of sex for cash from wealthy Arab businessmen. They offered their services in a handwritten letter to Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum. Is it Maktoum? Probably Maktoum. Sounds like Tomb, T-O-M-B. The owner of the Jumeirah Carlton Hotel in Knightsbridge, central London, last August. The multi-billionaire sheikh, who police said had no knowledge of the crimes. yeah. Introduced the word multi-billionaire. There's a few words before. They had no knowledge. He said he had no knowledge. The police said he had no knowledge. So there's no bribery going on there at all, is there? Multi-billionaire. Police said he had no knowledge. Just you have to. You want another car, don't you? Yeah. You want better house. Became the ruler of Dubai in 2006 and owns hotels and landmark properties around the world. I don't know whose virginity would be worth £150,000, especially if it's a Muslim woman that's been circumcised. Suspicious staff passed a note to Scotland Yard, which began an undercover sting operation involving a Farsi-speaking officer posing as a fixer. A fixer! I think that's a builder speak, rather than somebody who gives you drugs. I'm a fixer-upper. Provocative photographs of the girls, including one aged 14, were exchanged in 27 emails before the meeting, alongside discussion of what sex acts they would be prepared to undertake. One conspirator said some of the girls were virgins who could be broken by the client and offered to bring 2 13-year-olds to the party for dancing. When several members of the gang turned up at a second hotel for a dancing and sex party with 6 scantily clad girls aged between 14 and 22, they were arrested by waiting police. No, I suppose I didn't say they were pounced on by the police. Judge Alan Greenwood, like the police were like waiting up in the ceiling, dropped on them. Judge Alan Greenwood told Harrow Crown Court the gang were motivated by greed. So the gang aren't saying who paid them to do it or whatever, who actually backed them, and played different roles in committing the crime. It's very unlikely they just did it off their own backs. I mean, they must have had somebody guiding them. He said, "Trafficking of persons for sexual exploitation is always serious. In this case, it involved a money-making operation based on the exploitation and corruption of vulnerable young women. Some of them were very young. I accept that the youngest of them were going to do no more than dance. But even one as young as 17 or 18 was to be involved in prostitution, and all of them were put at risk by you. This was a commercial operation. It involved planning and organisation. Its purpose was to yield considerable sums for each of its conspirators, and that is why wealthy customers were targeted." The gang was Maruk Jamali, 41, of West End Lane, Kilburn, North London, Sarah Boardbar of Finchley Road, North London, and husband and wife Fatima Hagnigat, 24, and Rasul Golampour, 30, of Redbrook Road, Wigan. Ringleader and mother of four, Jamali was jailed for 2 years and 9 months. Hagnigat, described as the recruiting sergeant, was jailed for 2 years and 6 months. Boardbar was jailed for 2 years and 3 months, and Golampour was jailed for 2 years and 9 months. All four pleaded guilty to conspiring to traffic 6 women aged between 17 and 22 from the northwest to London between July and October last year for sexual exploitation. In the BBC, you got EU may take legal action against France over Roma. EU Justice Commissioner Viviane Reding has urged the European Commission to take legal action against France over its deportation of Roma gypsies. Miss Reding called French actions a disgrace. She's deplored the fact that a leaked official memo contradicted assurances given to her by France. France voiced astonishment in response to her statement on Tuesday. It deported nearly 230 Roma on Tuesday alone, flying them to Romania from Paris and Marseille. Nearly 160 were flown out of the French capital to Bucharest, and 69 out of Marseille, AFP news agency reports. All had agreed to be repatriated in exchange for cash payments of about €330, $423, £274 per adult, and €100 per child. More than 1,000 people have been deported to Romania and Bulgaria since late July, when President Nicolas Sarkozy linked illegal Roma camps to crimes such as prostitution and child exploitation. Critics see the law and order crackdown as a way for Mr. Sarkozy to boost his flagging popularity and discontent over government cutbacks. The BBC's Ioana Lungescu in Brussels says Ms. Reding's rebuke amounted to incredibly strong language from a European Commissioner about a big member state. EU disciplinary action against France could lead to substantial fines. France denies that the expulsions target an ethnic group, saying they are done on a case-by-case basis. It also insists that most of them are voluntary. Court case, that's the headline. Last week, Euro MPs accused the Commission of failing to protect the Roma deported from France. Speaking at a news conference on Tuesday, Ms. Reding said she would propose legal proceedings by the Commission over France's treatment of the Roma, and that a Commission decision would be taken within 2 weeks. The case would then go before the European Court of Justice in Luxembourg, she said. France is accused of violating EU law, which bans discrimination against any ethnic group or nationality. I am personally convinced that the Commission will have no choice but to initiate infringement proceedings against France, Ms. Reding said. The role of the Commission as guardian of the treaties is made extremely difficult if we can no longer have confidence in the assurances given by two ministers in a formal meeting, she said. This is not a minor offence in a situation of this importance. After 11 years of experience in the Commission, I even go further. This is a disgrace, she said. Recently, French Immigration Minister Eric Besson and Minister for Europe Pierre Lelouch briefed Ms Reding on France's handling of the Roma issue. The aroma issue. The smelling issue. The aroma, they stink. On Monday, the French press published a leaked French official memo suggesting that Roma had been specifically targeted by the authorities. The memo contradicted assurances to EU officials from Mr Besson and Mr Lelouch that immigrants were being treated on a case-by-case basis. The order, dated 5th of August, was sent from the Interior Ministry to regional police chiefs. And they just routing them out of their camps and shifting them out of the country. So, yeah. It's quite difficult to prove it it's a case-by-case basis, but it's easy to prove that it's done on a sort of racial basis. The little beggars all look the same. Just kick out a whole lot of them, that sort of thing. 300 camps or illegal settlements must be cleared within 3 months. Roma camps are a priority, it said. Mr Besson told France 2 Television on Monday that he was not aware of this circular. Last week, the European Parliament urged the French government to halt the deportations, a call rejected by Paris. On Monday, Mr Lelouch told the BBC he was sick and tired of the criticism directed at France over the aroma of the Roma. French Foreign Ministry spokesman Bernard Valeroux called Ms Reding's statement unhelpful on Tuesday. We don't think that with this type of statement that we can improve the situation of the Roma, who are at the heart of our concerns and our action, he said. Is it the Gallic? Next article, BBC. Oh, George Michael, jail for 8 weeks for drug driving. Yes. George Michael, you Americans know about him because you welcomed him with open buttocks, I suppose, because he's gay, and now he's in jail. Good. I mean, he should be just honestly go back into jail because he's gay. Can infect all the other prisoners so they can all die of AIDS. George Michael has been given an 8-week sentence for crashing his car while under the influence of cannabis. Dun, dun, dun. He was also fined £1,250 at Highbury Corner Magistrates Court in London and given a 5-year driving ban. The 47-year-old ringer was arrested in July in Hampstead, North London, after driving his Range Rover into a branch of photographic store Snappy Snaps. Last month he pleaded guilty to driving under the influence of drugs and possessing cannabis. The singer was told then that his offences were a serious matter and that he could face imprisonment. Michael will serve 4 weeks in prison, with the rest of his sentence spent out on licence under the supervision of the probation service. The pop star was greeted by a horde of photographers as he arrived in lost the place now. At court earlier in 2007, he admitted another charge of driving while unfit for use of drugs at Brent Magistrates Court in London. Michael was found slumped at the wheel of his car in the early hours of July the 4th, having crashed it into the store frontage. He was arrested and taken to Hampstead Police Station, where he was found to be carrying cannabis cigarettes. Michael shot to fame as half of pop duo Wham! Before embarking on a successful career as a solo artist. The singer, whose real name is Giorgio Panagiotou, has made no secret of his long-time use of cannabis. The BBC's Lizo Mzimba was in court and said Michael had gasped when his sentence was passed down. Early, his barrister said the singer was trying to get his life back on track and had started writing new material. For the first time in many years, he has started writing again, said Mikhail Chola, QC. His creativity, so long hampered by his drug dependence, is re-emerging. It doesn't sound very convincing when he's just been done for drug driving. District Judge John Perkins said he had heard many things in mitigation. I accept entirely that you have shown remorse for the offence, that you are ashamed of it, the offence of being gay, that you admitted it, he said. With regret, however, he said he had no alternative in this case but to give him a custodial sentence. It does not appear that you took proper steps to deal with what is clearly an addiction to cannabis, he told the singer. Clearly gay, clearly addicted to cannabis. Oh dear. Okay, and now we've got the Guardian article. McDonald's targeted in US health ad. Unhappy Meals. American doctor's TV ad features a corpse holding a hamburger and the line, "I was loving it." McDonald's, which has thrived in the recession, isn't laughing. It is an image to sap the flabbiest of appetites. An overweight, middle-aged man lies dead on a mortuary trolley with a woman weeping over his body. The corpse's cold hand still clutches a half-eaten McDonald's hamburger. They'll have to remove this hamburger from my cold dead hands, said some guy do with firearms. A hard-hitting US television commercial bankrolled by a Washington-based medical group has infuriated McDonald's by taking an unusually direct shot at the world's biggest fast food chain this week, using a scene filmed in a mortuary, followed by a shot of the brand's Golden Arches logo and a strapline declaring, "I was loving it." The line is a provocative twist on McDonald's long-standing advertising slogan, "I'm loving it," and the voiceover intones, "High cholesterol, high blood pressure, heart attacks, tonight, make it vegetarian." The commercial, bankrolled by the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, goes further than most non-profit advertising and has drawn an angry reaction from both the Chicago-based hamburger multinational and the broader restaurant industry. The National Restaurant Association has criticised it as irresponsible and said it was an attempt to scare the public with a limited view of nutrition. A McDonald's spokesman said, "This commercial is outrageous, misleading and unfair to all customers or consumers. McDonald's trusts our customers to put such outlandish propaganda in perspective and to make food and lifestyle choices that are right for them. And besides, we sell salads. I don't understand what the problem is." The commercial to be aired initially in the Washington area, but potentially in further US cities. Oh yeah, I know they used to sell salads. I don't suppose they do anymore. Now it's sort of like, oh no. Comes amid an increasingly lively debate in the US about healthy eating. The First Lady, Michelle Obama, has made nutrition a signature issue and is leading a campaign to encourage physical fitness and improve diets, particularly among American children, a third of whom are overweight. The recession has hardly helped the healthy eating cause. McDonald's has enjoyed a relatively prosperous financial crisis, as diners opt for its affordable offerings in place of more expensive high street restaurants. Oh, is that what it is? I thought it was something to do with the antidepressants or something in the food. It's the sort of like instant perk you get from fast food, junk food. So it's not like absorbed through the body properly. It's the all the stuff's in it. It's poisons or whatever, toxins get you high, and it's That's why people like it so much. Its global profits for the 6 months to June were up 12% to $2.3 billion, powered by sales rises in the United States and Britain. The PCRM's director, PCRM was the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine of Nutrition Education, Susan Levin, made no apologies for singling out the Golden Arches. McDonald's is one of the biggest fast food chains in the world. Its name and its golden arches are instantly recognizable. We feel we're making a point about all fast food when we talk about McDonald's. There's loads of stuff in the chat room, I've got time to read it. Just doing some browsing. Okay, in the Independent, I've got administration problems, blame for Pope Benedict's ticket slump. Yes. By Sophia Piazza. Love of pizza or something. Love of wise pizzas. Almost. The thousands of tickets for open air masses during Pope Benedict's visit to Britain this week are yet to be taken up, just 4 days before he is due to arrive. Organisers have blamed poor communication between dioceses and the parishes distributing tickets, as well as early application deadlines for the low take-up. Some Catholics, especially the elderly, have also been put off by the pre-dawn starts and long journeys demanded from many events. Because of tight security arrangements, attendees must attach themselves to a local parish group and travel with them from designated departure points. Although just 400,000 tickets had been allocated for the open-air masses, congregation. You know, it's going to be like a rave or something. Where was I? I got carried away with the papal rave, which will be presided over by Pope Benedict in Glasgow, London and Birmingham. Organisers are now racing to ensure the parks will be full. We need some more faithful. Make some. Make them out of clay, I don't care. Force them at gunpoint. Must join the Pope. The forecast is not a patch on 1982, when hundreds of thousands of people congregated at 6 venues across the country to see Pope John Paul II during his 6-day visit. So it's not the first visit, is it, by the Pope to the UK? Oh, such a load of bull. Gay Bill. He was making out all this sort of rubbish about it. It was like, oh, the first time Pope's ever visited the UK or something. And I was like, he was going to put something else for 1600 years or something since it last happened. Or whatever. Parish priests have been urged to distribute thousands of tickets to schools, while the Archbishop of Westminster, Reverend Vincent Nichols, wrote to Catholic school heads in London last week, asking them, the actual heads, the skulls, to organise parties of school children to attend the evening prayer vigil in Hyde Park on Saturday. While it may also be the case that numerous paedophilia scandals have tarnished the church's image, cost may have contributed towards the low turnout. The visit is expected to cost the Catholic Church around £10 million. How much money are they going to make on merchandising? Can we have Pope on the rope, please? Pope on the rope. Pope on the rope. Pope on the rope. It's a form of soap.
You know what? I think we're going to start making a Pope on the rope brand of soap here. It's going to be a little Pope on a rope.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should. It'd be Informed Pope on a rope brand. Yes. We can talk to the guy that makes soap commercials. Alex Jones does the infomercials every once in a while with them.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get him to actually do some Pope on a rope.
Yeah.
Be awesome. Bush soap or Obama soap or whatever kind of soap you want. It'll be on a rope though.
Yeah.
It'll be the informed on a rope.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. And applicants were told they had to make a financial contribution to attend the masses. Attendance at the beatification of Cardinal John Henry Newman in Birmingham on Sunday, the final day of the Pope's visit, cost £25. The afternoon mass in Glasgow's Bella Houston Park on Thursday was priced at £20, while the evening prayer vigil in Hyde Park costs £5. Organisers have denied that the charges are an entrance fee, but would go towards transport and security provisions to feed the Vatican coffers. Jack Valero, a spokesman for Opus Dei, yes, it is a real thing, said that there was huge excitement and no lack of enthusiasm from Catholics about the upcoming papal visit, but admitted there had been administration problems, which meant that there was a redistribution of tickets going on now. He added that he believed that the Hyde Park event would be at full capacity at 80,000, but was less confident that Cofton Park in Birmingham would receive the full number of 60,000 visitors. Less of a holy place, obviously. Birmingham's less holy. He attributed this to health and safety and security arrangements, and that Birmingham must be a godforsaken town. Need to say a bit. Which would necessitate visitors arriving at the park between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. for the 10 a.m. mass, and said that those who can't face getting up at 2 a.m. would be deterred. Peter Jennings, press secretary to the Archdiocese of Birmingham, said the process of allocating spaces for the mass was a huge and complicated task. He added that visitors were not up to go to mass, not paying to go to mass, which is free. The £25 contribution is for the cost of travel and the travel arrangements. Austin Ivory, the coordinator of the media group Catholic Voices, admitted that there had been some problems with communicating the availability of spaces, and that the cost of going to the masses could have deterred some visitors. But what's more likely is a distance, because of the logistics and security, where the police need to know about every single coach coming, and that everyone on the coach can be vouched for. The organisers have had to ask the people to travel very early, he said. There is a finite number of spaces for security reasons, and there is the problem that more people want to go than there are tickets available. With the current election campaign, a new government, and the venues for events changed at the last minute.com. All of this has been quite complex, and the church has had very little time for the allocation process, but I am confident the events will be full. I heard it from God. A source close to the papal visit said that the long journeys faced by some Scottish parishioners to attend the Pope's Glasgow Mass on Thursday afternoon meant that tickets were now being transferred to closer parishes, and that it would be a race against time to ensure an attendance of 100,000. Okay, another one sort of related. In The Guardian, Sinead O'Connor, the Vatican is a nest of devils. When she tore up the Pope's picture as a protest against child abuse, people thought she was loopy. I don't know if anybody outside the UK's heard of Sinead O'Connor. She did that "Nothing Compares to You" song, and it was awful. I hated it. But Sinead O'Connor, she was famously bald and looked like a lesbian for ages, but apparently she wasn't, and it was like, I didn't really care. Former pop star, priest, newly married mother of 4, won't say "I told you so." Bloody blah de blah, goes on for ages, just like she does. I think I'll skip that one. It's like once one person started, it's easy for everybody else to start chipping in, and it was obvious anyway. We're just like sort of waiting in the wings for the Pope to turn up to the UK and then bring out their planned speeches and oh yeah, with a shocking, controversial pop star routine. Stephen Hawking, no, he's boring. I've got theology. I'll do him anyway. Do this thing on him. Theology unnecessary. Stephen Hawking tells CNN he's carried on. He's on a roll. He's on a roll after yesterday's bullshitty thing about time travel, which he'd made up on the spot. Well, he had sent to him, transmitted like live wired into his brain or whatever. Theology is unnecessary, so says Stephen Hawking, the world-famous physicist who controversially argues in a new book that God did not create the universe.
God may exist, but science can explain the universe without the need for a creator,
Hawking told CNN's Larry King live in an interview that aired Friday. So it's like Larry King's like sort of stepping out from the spotlight with a crud like Stephen Hawking's. I'm not even a fan of Larry King. We don't get him out at all over here, so I don't know what he's like. I just know he's got those ridiculous. He's got ridiculous clothes. He's like really skinny sort of man, and he's got these stupid. I can't even remember what they're called, suspenders or something. Keeping his trousers on, just totally ridiculous. Hawking, 68. I mean, he would look less ridiculous if he was dressed in a clown costume. A full clown costume with a clown nose, with a big red nose and a goofy afro. In fact, I think most clowns do have those wacky suspenders, so I think he copied it from the clowns. Maybe that's the idea. Maybe that's the joke. Because I know you have other ones that wear that bow tie, and the only thing that's missing from the bow tie, they use it in politics. And the only thing that's missing from that bow tie is a little thing in the middle that if you press it, it makes the bow tie spin round. Hawking, 68. Oh, really? I thought he was only 20. Says in his book, The Grand Design, that given the existence of gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. I'm not going to talk about that bit. Whatever. Spontaneous creation, he writes, is the reason why the universe and humanity exist. It is because it is. That's what you're saying. I mean, genius.
Gravity and quantum theory cause universes to be created spontaneously out of nothing,
Hawking told Larry King, spinning around on his wheelchair again, doing wheelies and stuff. King asked Hawking, Hawking, the king of whores, why he thinks people have reacted so strongly to his book.
Science is increasingly answering questions that used to be the prophets of religion,
Hawking replied.
The scientific account is complete. Theology is not understood.
Hawking said that his book is an attempt to give a
broad picture of how the universe operates and our place in it. It is a basic human desire and it puts our worries in perspective.
The idea behind it is Maggot theory, which he says allows there to be many universes that are created out of nothing, none of which require the intervention of God, but it does require the intervention of Maggot, who is far greater than God. He actually says M theory, so it's obviously me. That's because if there are many universes, one will have laws of physics like ours, and in such a universe, it's because I figured him out. It's some little guy in an underground lab going beep, 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 controlling the Stephen Hawking's vegetable. And controlling everything, you know, like every twitch in his body, every movement of his fingers, it's all controlled. Something not only can but must arise from nothing, Hawking says. Therefore, he concludes, there's no need for God to have played a part. That's the point of his book, Horror Kings Told King.
That science can explain the universe, and that we don't need God to explain why there is something rather than nothing, or why the laws of nature are what they are.
Hawking said that if he could travel through time, which he said is theoretically possible, He would go to the future to
find if maggot theory is indeed a theory of everything.
Hawking has ALS. Oh yes, it's a new online chatting system. It's not. It's or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, which has confined him to a wheelchair and leaves him unable to speak without the help of a computerized voice synthesizer. The disease is also known as Lou Gehrig's disease in the United States and a motor neurone disease, or MND, in Britain. He told King he's doing
pretty well
with the disease 45 years after he was first diagnosed. The disease has a life expectancy of 2 to 5 years. According to the ALS Association. Daily Mail. No, this might be rubbish, but I'll read a bit of it and then I'll get annoyed if I might get annoyed with it. If I do get annoyed with it, I'll just go on to the next one. Found the gene that causes short sight. A gene that causes short-sightedness has been pinpointed by British scientists, paving the way for eye drops that could make glasses history. Oh, actually, yeah, the BBC was doing something like that. I didn't follow it through, and it was like specs become obsolete, and they had a photo of Michael Caine wearing specs. I think it was like probably Get Carter or something, that movie he was wearing specs in. Within just 10 years, a drug that prevents short-sightedness or stops it in its tracks could be in widespread use. Millions would be spared the inconvenience and expense of contact lenses, spectacles and laser surgery. Given in childhood, the eye drops could also spare school pupils anxieties about having to wear glasses. And the word glasses is repeated in another sentence. Ugh, you tricky tricksters. Within just 10 years, a drug that prevents short-sightedness or stops it in its tracks could be in widespread use, making the wearing of glasses negligible. Short-sightedness or trouble in focusing on distant objects affects more than 1 in 3 Britons and is becoming more common as we spend more time indoors and in front of computer screens. Caused by overgrowth of the eyeball. It usually starts developing in childhood. In some cases, vision can rapidly deteriorate. There is no way of halting its progress, and in severe cases, it leads to blindness. The latest research by an international team led by experts at King's College London and published in the prestigious journal Nature Genetics offers hope to millions to find the gene, the first to be linked to short-sightedness or myopia. The researchers compared the DNA of more than 4,000 British twins. Twins are often used in such study because it is easier to distinguish the different effects of nature and nurture. They then confirmed their results by studying the genetics of 13,000 British, Dutch and Australian individuals. Some 45% of Britons have the rogue gene, and those who have 2 copies of it are almost twice as likely to be short-sighted as those who are free of it. KCL researcher Dr. Piro Hisi, the study's lead author, said, "We have known for many years that the most important risk factor for being short-sighted is having parents who are short-sighted, and for the first time we are identifying genes that may be involved in passing on this susceptibility." The gene, known as RASGRF1, is thought to play a key role in the development of the eye and the passing of visual signals to the brain for processing. When it is faulty, the eyeball may overgrow, making distant objects seem fuzzy or blurred. Dr. Chris Hammond, also of KCL, said, "Myopia, or short-sightedness, is the most common eye problem, affecting over 1/3 of adults in the UK. People who are extremely short-sighted carry significant risks of future vision loss. The retina can peel away from the back of the eye like wallpaper off a wall." While we believe that environmental risk factors, such as a lot of close work and lack of outdoor activity, are implicated, we have not previously understood how people became short-sighted. We hope that by understanding the mechanisms, we can stop children from becoming short-sighted, and stop short-sighted children from becoming more short-sighted. A second study by Dutch researchers identified a second short-sightedness gene. Ultimately, there could be dozens behind the condition. Drugs that counter their effect and stop the eyeball from overgrowing could be available in just a decade, said Dr. Hammond Organ. Other options include gene therapy, injecting healthy genes into the eye. But Dr. Hammond said, "Gene therapy is a major intervention. I think we are going to be looking at developing some kind of eye drop or tablet that interferes with the biological pathway that leads to short-sightedness. Although the eye drops would not help adults who are already short-sighted, they could be of huge benefit to their children." However, today's youngsters can take some simple steps to try to discourage short-sightedness. Terry Young of Duke University in North Carolina in the US said, "People need to go outside and look at the horizon." Today's new work forces our eyes to be constantly in tension, to focus on reading papers or on watching monitors. Professor Pete Coffey, director of the London Project to Cure Blindness, cautioned that any drug would have to be shown to be extremely safe before it was given to children. They always chuck that one in. Well, that was okay. I don't mind reading that one. It's when they say like, oh, everything's hopeless and you've got to take these drugs in order to continue your life, sort of thing. You know, they don't actually say there's actual natural ways you can get around or reduce the effect. I mean, there's loads of people short-sighted over here. You see loads of people with glasses, even children, lots of children. And they were talking about the UK specifically, so I don't know if it's to do with the climate over here or something like that. That's just that excitement. That headline there is just so exciting. Corn syrup renamed corn sugar. There you go. Checking the sun. In the sun. Just loading it now. Yeah, amazing. There was a glider crashed in an air show, but the guy didn't die. Amazing stuff. Okay, I got another one. It's a follow-up to something I read out before, I think. American freed by Iran arrives in Oman. Tehran had demanded $500,000 in bail. 2 male companions remain in jail. Sarah Shord, one of 3 Americans held in Iran for more than a year on suspicion of spying, left the country on Tuesday after she was released on bail and arrived in Oman a few hours later, where she and her mother were reunited. There's a photo of her and she looks tiny. In brief remarks to Iran's English language state TV station, Shord said she was grateful and very humbled by this moment. I want to really offer my thanks to anyone in the world, anyone, really, everyone, all of the governments, all of the people that have been involved, and particularly want to address President Ahmadinejad and all of the Iranian officials and religious leaders, and thank them for this humanitarian gesture. Shord added. Shord was detained near Iran's border with Iraq in July 2009, along with 2 male companions, Shane Bear and Josh Fatality. Their families say the three were on a mountain hike in northern Iraq at the time. In a statement Tuesday, the family said they are relieved and overjoyed that Sarah has at last been released, but we're also heartbroken that Shane and Josh are still being denied their freedom for no just cause. President Barack Obama welcomed Shaud's release and urged Iran to show renewed compassion by releasing the other two Americans. Shaud's release came a day after Shaud's family countered a $500,000 bail request with a plea for Iran to drop or lower the sum because they were struggling to raise the cash. It was unclear whether bail had been paid. We do not know what the terms were of her release, NBC News' Andrea Mitchell reported from Tehran. However, Iranian news agencies, quoting the judiciary, reported that bank documents had been submitted to secure Shaud's release and that she had been handed to Swiss cheese officials. Iran's judiciary, meanwhile, said the detention of Bayer and Fatel has been extended for 2 more months. Right.
Maggot. Hello, Maggot.
I'm here.
Sorry to disturb your show. Can you look at the main chat here in Informed?
Sure.
Ref needs to do a 2-minute report for the next show.
I need. What I was going to do is I was going to have Justin, if Justin was around. I know Maggot, not unless he really has to. Well, Maggot, can you go over the next 20 minutes on the 4 o'clock hour? I'm trying to get the stuff for the exposing of Charlie Veach, so I need to get that link for where you have that recorded at, and I got to get the other video. We're going to come out because one of my listeners that hasn't been around in a while, he actually don't know nothing about Charlie Veach. He wasn't here when I exposed him. So what I'm going to do, just for him, is I was going to do a special report here in the next hour. So I was going to do the whole thing, but actually I got to go out and grab all this stuff, and it's going to take a few minutes. So I need a 20-minute filler on the next hour.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
All right, cool. Thank you, man.
Okay. 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 In Tuesday's statement, Nora Shaud said that I've hoped and prayed for this moment for 410 days, and I cannot wait to wrap Sarah in my arms and hold her close when we are finally together again. Sarah has had... Yeah.
Maggot, never mind. Vertex, I thought he was going to take a little bit, but he said he actually wanted to do a show today.
Okay.
So actually, he's going to be on his next show. He's going to be on the next hour of the 4 o'clock. So I'm not going to be able to do maybe Vertex at the end of the 4 o'clock hour. Let me jump in if you don't mind for a little bit, 10 minutes or so I can do that special report.
Okay,
so
but I can end the show now. That's fine. That's cool.
No, yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got to go ahead. I'll play your song.
Okay.